Joining me now is Pete Buttigich, former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and former presidential candidate. He's joining us tonight in his personal capacity and not speaking on behalf of the Biden administration. Mayor Pete, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Same here. Thanks for having me on. Great to be with you.
Let me start just by asking you what you think of the vice president's pick and what you think Tim Walz will bring to the ticket.
I'm really excited. Like you said, she had so many great directions she could go in. She also has found an extraordinary partner who has brought that joy immediately to the campaign trail, and somebody who I think sets up this ticket and this campaign even more than was already true to be about all of us. That's the thing I'm really excited about. As you showed, he has such a compelling story, such an interesting biography, classroom teacher, many years in the military, football coach, and then a very effective member of Congress and governor. But one thing you noticed right away about him is that it's not about him. I was thinking about what those different experiences have in common. Being a teacher, being a coach, being a senior non-commissioned officer. And what they all have in common is they're all about cultivating and supporting other people. And you can tell that's what he's about. And that's what this ticket is about. I think it's one of the reasons why the Trump campaign can't figure out what to do with this ticket, even more so today than what's been true ever since she became the nominee. They cannot fathom a campaign or any leaders who are not about themselves. But this campaign, as impressive and compelling as the ticket themselves are, they've also made it clear that this campaign isn't about them. It's about you. It's about us. It's about the future of this country. And I think his personal qualities and his message really speak to that in a way that's going to continue that focus on the American people. That's how she's going to win this election.
It's such an important point in politics. As you know, you run for president very successfully. I mean, it should be about who you're running to represent. And sometimes that's been lost as we've watched Donald Trump try to run to protect himself. I want to play some of how Tim Walz contrasted the two campaigns tonight. You and I have talked about freedom and the freedom message, and get your thoughts on the other side.
Some of us are old enough to remember when it was Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
I mean, I love mind your own damn business because it's so ironic given Republicans run as Democrats are trying to kind of overreach in government. And that's basically what they're trying to do. But what do you make of that messaging?
Yeah, I mean, it's a classically Midwestern way to put forward this simple point that is how Republicans, today's Trump Republican Party, really lost the claim that conservatives and Republicans used to make on being the party of freedom. As you know, for years, I've believed that Democrats need to talk about that more, and we're seeing that in such effective form in this campaign. She has made freedom a key theme of her campaign. I saw Governor Shapiro tonight also speaking powerfully in his remarks in Philadelphia to the importance of freedom. And Governor Walz captured it so well when he said that you can't claim to be about freedom when you are invading people's family decisions and healthcare decisions the way today's GOP has ever since Trump demolished the right to choose. And again, I just love the formulation that brings it back down to basics and in a way that I think is really going to connect with a lot of people who are tuning into this campaign, especially with all the change at the top of the ticket, asking that one question that every campaign is fundamentally about, which is, what does this mean for me, and how is my future going to be different if it's this leader versus the other leader?
It is all about how people feel it will impact them, to your point. Now, there's some big moments coming up. There's, of course, the Democratic Convention coming up in just 2 weeks. There's tonight we also saw Governor Walz challenge J.D. Vance to a debate, so that will be interesting to watch. I mean, if that debate happens, he's not going to have a lot of time to prepare. He's going to need someone to stand in for J.D. Vance in debate prep. Do you know any Democrats who can play a millennial, Ivy League educated military veteran from the Midwest? Do you know anyone?
Obviously, I'll make myself useful however I can, although I'm still recovering a little bit from the experience of trying to inhabit the mind of Mike Pence in order to play that role for Kamala Harris when she was in debate prep 4 years ago. Again, I'll do anything to help this ticket win, but I don't know if it'll come to that. But I do think the contrast is fantastic. I mean, just again, somebody who is so clearly and straightforwardly connected to the experiences of most Americans, the way Tim Walz is. I mean, the first time I met him, or at least the first time I spent much time with him, was at the Minnesota State Fair. It was right next to the enclosure where they do the butter sculpture, the life-size butter sculpture, which is about as prototypically Minnesota State Fair as I can imagine. And he greeted me like an old friend, and just I remember thinking, he's obviously the governor. I know what he looks like, and he sounds like the governor, but he didn't carry himself like somebody who thought he was more important than anybody else in the room, in the building, or on the fairgrounds. He's somebody who just knows where he came from and gets where people are at. Seeing the contrast between that and J.D. Vance, who has contorted himself repeatedly from a never-Trumper Silicon Valley investor to now trying to be a voice of the working class Midwest. It's just going to be an extraordinary contrast, and I'm very much looking forward to watching that debate.
It's quite and for anyone from the Harris campaign who's watching, it sounds like Mayor Pete is saying he's willing to embody J.D. Vance for a period of time if needed for the cause. We'll see. Now, I want to ask you, because you have just you seem to enjoy fighting back against in Fox News interviews and against disinformation out there. And we've already seen a bit of this today, which is this kind of accusation that Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, who's a former high school teacher, former football coach, is somehow a San Francisco liberal. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he's not one, right? That he's somehow linked to Chinese Communist Party. What do you think? I mean, should they take these attacks on? What should they do? They're trying a lot of things, but some of them may resonate with people. What do you think?
I think they're flailing right now. They just don't know how to respond to this campaign that, again, as excited as we are about the VP and her running mate, they're not making it about themselves. It's about all of us. And there's just the Trump campaign doesn't quite know what to do. They also definitely don't know what to do with any effort to unify the country. So they're going back to what they always do, which is division. You saw it with the abhorrent remarks from Donald Trump at NABJ, really trying to shift the conversation from all of us to him by blurting out these racially charged remarks at the National Association of Black Journalists. Wisely, cleverly, I think Kamala Harris responded to it, condemned it, but then dismissed it and got right back to her message. And I think that's going to be the same response you'll see here. Of course they're trying to say that he's too far left. They say that about literally any Democrat running against literally any Republican. If it was Joe Manchin, they'd be saying the same thing because it's all they know how to say. Of course, that'll be refuted, and we'll remind everybody that, if you think, making sure that everyone in Minnesota had paid family leave, as he's done, if you think that's too far left, you can go around saying that, but vast majority of Americans think that's a good idea. So, yes, you can do the point-by-point answer. We'll do the fact-checking. But I think it's going to be really important not to take the bait, because they will try to redirect the conversation toward whatever is darkest and most divisive and most out of that same old playbook that we've seen again and again and again. But you can see how tired Americans are of that playbook and how energized people are. I mean, that rally, I just caught a few minutes of it, but off the charts energy there. So you can see that Americans are ready for something different. And I think, the more the Trump campaign flails in that old, dark, divisive mode, yeah, they'll grab some attention here and there for whatever outrageous claims they make about our ticket. But I don't think a lot of it's going to stick, because none of it's true. And maybe most importantly, because I think people are just kind of bored with that sort of thing.
Yeah, it is a little boring. And also making him smaller and not bigger is a good part of the strategy. Former Mayor of South Bend, Indiana, Pete Buttigich, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for talking with me tonight.